A janitor quietly doing his job is humiliated in front of the entire office during a multilingual corporate meeting. The CEO mocks him publicly until one strange moment flips the room's energy. Something no one expected comes from the one man. They never saw it coming. "We're not running a daycare here," the CEO snapped, waving his hand like he was brushing off lint. "Tell the janitor to clean this place quietly or hire one who speaks English." The words cracked through the glass-walled conference room like a slap. Chairs didn't creak. Not even the intern coughed. It was the kind of silence that felt like it knew what it was hiding. And what it was about to reveal. Outside, the janitor paused. His cart squeaked slightly as he came to a slow stop. He didn't say a word. It was Thursday. Quarterly global check-ins. 12 countries. 6 interpreters. The CEO, Alan Bradford, was mid-speech, flanked by assistants, glaring at a glossy screen filled with multi-language captions scrolling in real time. Behind him, the translator headsets blinked green, except one. "Again," Alan said, voice rising. "Why is that guy even back here? It's bad enough he's always lurking, but now he's listening? What's next? Giving him a seat?" Someone laughed, nervous. One of those fragile chuckles that sounds like it regrets existing. The janitor, mid-40s, dark skin, wore a navy uniform with faded letters across his chest. Facilities. His ID badge hung slightly off-center, clipped to a pocket that sagged from overuse. In one hand, he held a mop. In the other, a set of headphones muted. "I told security last time," Alan continued. "These people don't get it. No language skills. No decorum. Why are we pretending this is a charity?" The janitor turned toward the glass. Through the transparent walls, the conference room's polished table gleamed like it had never known dust. Rows of execs sat in sterile blue and white uniforms. Expensive pens. Imported watches. One woman clicked her pen once, then stopped. No one else moved. Then it happened. From the side wall, a translator, one of the newer hires, fumbled with her headset. She whispered into the mic, "Mandarin feeds down." "He's not getting it," Alan sighed. "Of course. Wonderful. Anyone here speak Mandarin?" Silence. Alan looked around, arms outstretched in mock disbelief. "Nobody? Come on." "Not one of." "You Ivy League brats picked up anything useful?" The janitor slowly stepped forward, one step past his cart. Alan noticed. He rolled his eyes. "Great. Now we've got movement." "What's next? Janitor speaks Chinese?" "I do," the janitor said it softly, not proud, not loud, just undeniably real. Alan blinked. "Excuse me?" "I speak Mandarin," he repeated, gaze steady, "and Korean, and Farsi, and Swahili, and Russian, and Arabic, and 3 dialects of French Creole." The room shifted. Not physically, but emotionally like. Gravity took a half-step sideways. "You," Alan chuckled, glancing at the others. "What are you, some kind of walking Duolingo?" The janitor walked over to the Mandarin interpreter and politely adjusted her feed. Then, in fluid, flawless Mandarin, he spoke 3 sentences. The interpreter's eyes widened. He switched to Korean next. Then Arabic. Then Farsi, smooth, like pulling cards from a magician's sleeve. One of the regional directors, Middle East. Desk leaned forward. "Did he just say? The entire third-quarter budget needs localization for MENA subregions." The janitor nodded. "I read your slides while I was mopping," he said simply. The math was off. Alan's face was suddenly smaller, not physically, just less. His shoulders had retreated. His eyes didn't glare now. They scanned. "What's your name?" he asked flatly. "Deshaun Atwater," the janitor replied, sliding the headset back onto the Mandarin feed. You hired me 4 years ago. Said I'd be invisible by design? The pen-clicking intern gasped quietly. Someone whispered, "Is this for real?" Alan looked around, but the power in his voice was gone. The room wasn't laughing anymore. I watched it, closely. Deshaun didn't wait for permission. He nodded to the room, placed the mop carefully back in its bin, and pushed the cart toward the exit column, unbothered. Just before the door closed behind him, he said over his shoulder, "You? Ask for someone who speaks their language. You just never look down far enough." Click. The door shut, and the boardroom stayed frozen. For a man they never noticed. Deshaun Atwater suddenly became the center of every hallway whisper. It started. That same afternoon. A few interns refreshed LinkedIn, then refreshed again searching his name. Nothing. No profile. No tags. Not even a school. Just one blurry staff ID photo in the HR database labeled non-technical support, janitorial rotation. But that night, someone in accounting found something else. A university paper buried deep in an open source archive co-authored by a D. Atwater with the Robotics Institute in Switzerland. Title: Adaptive Multilingual Neural Translation Algorithms for Human-Machine Command Flow. Date: 8 years ago. Language: 6. That same intern from earlier, the one who clicked her pen, stared at the screen in disbelief. By Friday morning. The whispers had names. Did you know he worked on satellite comms? I heard he built something the military tried to buy. He doesn't even use translation apps, at all. Deshaun said nothing. He showed up, cleaned, nodded, and left. But the building wasn't the same. Every squeak of his cart sounded sharper. Every door he opened felt heavier with meaning. Even his silence made noise. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, Alan Bradford wasn't laughing anymore. He sat in his private office with the blinds drawn, looking at the HR screen again. The same sagging pocket photo. The same faded name badge. What do you mean we never ran a full background? He snapped out the HR director. Cleared his throat. He passed the essentials, sir. No criminal record. Clean ID. Manual labor reference checks from 2 local firms. Nothing unusual. Alan leaned forward. This man just rewired our Mandarin feed mid-meeting. You're telling me nobody flagged that? Maybe because we never thought the janitor would. The HR director hesitated. Be this relevant. Alan closed his laptop hard enough to rattle the pens on his desk. Somewhere on the second floor, Deshaun stood alone in the staff break room. Not the sleek executive lounge, but the linoleum-tiled one near the service elevators. He poured black coffee into a paper cup. 1 sugar. No stir. A young analyst named Priya walked in. Her voice trembled slightly. "Excuse me, Mr. Atwater?" He turned, calm as always. "Just Deshaun," she hesitated. I just wanted to say thank you for what you did in the meeting. I didn't even know they treated you like that." He offered a small smile. "It's easier not to see what you weren't trained to notice." She nodded slowly, unsure what to say. Then she blurted it out. "Did you really write that robotics paper?" Deshaun sipped his coffee. "Parts of it." "Then why—" She stopped herself. "Why are you here? Mopping floors?" He looked at her. Not offended. Just thoughtful. Because I wanted to learn what happens when I'm beneath their feet, not above their expectations. That confused her. He gestured toward the walls, the floors. "This building talks, but not always with words. I needed to hear what power sounds like when it doesn't think you're listening." Priya said nothing. She just stood there, processing the weight of what she just heard. Then he picked up his gloves, nodded, and walked out. Back upstairs. Alan called in someone else. Legal. "I want a full work audit on Deshaun Atwater," Alan said coldly. "Contracts, clock-ins, off-book conversations." Anything he's touched digitally or otherwise. The legal advisor raised an eyebrow. Is this disciplinary or discovery? Preventative, Alan said. The advisor paused. Careful, sir. That's a thin line if we don't find misconduct. Alan didn't answer. He just stared at the photo again, the sag in the pocket, the badge. The man who was never supposed to exist, but now wouldn't go away. It started in the elevators. Whispers, not loud enough to be gossip, but sharp enough to sting, followed Deshawn like static on glass. That's him, right? Did you see the Mandarin thing? I thought he didn't even have a college degree. By Monday, everyone knew the name, but no one knew the story. The badge still read facilities. The uniform still looked faded, but the way people looked at him had changed. They stepped aside more quickly. Doors held open longer. Conversations hushed when he passed, but not all of it was respect. Some of it was fear. In the open workspace on floor 5, 2 junior developers sat hunched over their screens. One of them glanced up and saw Deshawn walking past the glass. Whoa, dude. What if he's like some genius undercover engineer or something? The other guy scoffed. Then why's he cleaning toilets? The first one hesitated. I mean, maybe he just didn't want to play their game. That's when Dana, a sharp-eyed senior designer, leaned in from the next cubicle. You boys think brilliance walks around with a badge? She said flatly. Sometimes people are brilliant because they know exactly how invisible power really works. They shut up after that. The real shift came 2 days later in the main cafeteria. Deshawn entered quietly, just like always. No tray, just coffee. 2 sugars this time. A few employees nodded, unsure if they should say more, but then it happened. Across the room, a visiting executive from the German team struggled with the ordering kiosk set entirely in English. She muttered under her breath, frustrated, clearly, unable to translate fast enough. Deshawn walked over calmly. He said 3 quick lines in German. Soft, respectful. The exec froze. Then smiled, nodded, typed. Her order went through. She turned to him, visibly relieved. Danke schön. Deshawn smiled. Gern geschehen. That was all, but 10 people saw it. And within 1 hour, the company's internal Slack lit up with a thread titled, "The Janitor Knows 9 Languages?" It was started by someone in PR. It reached 87 emoji reactions in under 20 minutes. That afternoon, HR scheduled an internal asset review. Alan Bradford sat in his office watching the buzz unfold, jaw tight. This is spiraling, he muttered. His assistant nodded hesitantly. There's talk of a diversity spotlight piece. They want to feature him. Alan turned. Feature him as what? Our mascot for multilingual janitors? No, sir. As a company story of overlooked brilliance. Alan stood up. No, sir? I said no. We are not turning a mistake into a monument. The assistant's mouth tightened. Alan's voice dropped lower. People don't come here to be seen scrubbing floors and then outshine directors. That's not how this works. Back in the lower-level storage hallway, Deshawn was replacing a mop head when Dana approached him, clipboard in hand. Hey, she said, pausing near the doorframe. I read the paper. The neural flow one. I had to run it through a tech digest, but you basically solved low-latency command mismatches in multiple languages? He looked at her. We tried. Why here? Deshawn didn't look up. Sometimes power listens better when it thinks it's alone. She didn't respond right away. Then quietly, they're scared of you. I know. Why? He stood up slowly. Because I speak the language they've never bothered to learn. Silence, patience, observation. I watched. I waited. And now they can't unknow me. Dana nodded slowly, then smiled. I hope you don't stay invisible too long." "I won't," he said. "Not anymore." Later that evening, someone taped a note to Deshawn's cart. It read, "Some of us see you. Thank you." No name, just a small drawing of a lion. He didn't remove it. He just kept mopping, cart rolling forward, quiet, steady. Unmissable. The first official email came in bland. Corporate language. Subject. Internal staff clarification and access review. It was addressed to the entire building, but everyone knew who it was about. In order to maintain security protocols and staff efficiency, it read, "We are conducting an internal review of non-executive personnel with elevated access or visibility. During client-facing events, translation? They didn't want Deshawn near meetings anymore. Down in operations, one of the floor managers, Kurt Sellers, called him into a small room stacked with disinfectant and duct tape. Deshawn didn't sit. He didn't speak first either. Kurt adjusted. His lanyard cleared his throat and tried to smile. It came out crooked. "Hey man, you know you're kind of everywhere right now." Deshawn nodded once. "Look," Kurt continued, "I think it's best if you maybe scale back the engagement. We appreciate your initiative, really, but it's throwing some folks off. Too much noise. Clients are asking questions." Deshawn tilted his head slightly. "You want me to mop quieter?" Kurt chuckled nervously. "It's not about that. It's just optics." "You helping with translation stuff?" "That's not really." "You're my job?" Deshawn finished calmly. Kurt's face flickered. "I mean," Deshawn pulled something from his back pocket. A folded paper. Yellowed with time, but crisp. He laid it flat on the table. Kurt looked down. It was a national patent. Registration for a voice language mapping protocol. Filed, approved, and co-owned by a Swiss university and Deshawn Atwater. Filed 7 years ago. Kurt blinked. "Is this real?" Deshawn didn't answer. He reached into his other pocket and placed a second paper. This one was a recommendation letter, hand-signed, official seal. From a former head of communications at the United Nations. "Mr. Atwater's multilingual synthetic communication layer reshaped how our field ops handle code switching between emergency languages," Kurt read aloud. Stunned. Silence hung thick. Then Deshawn leaned in slightly. Calm, centered. "You don't want noise, Kurt? Maybe stop shouting down brilliance when it wears overalls." He picked up both papers, folded them gently, and walked out. By noon, the second email dropped. Subject, reminder, respecting all roles within the organization. This one tried to backpedal. "We remind staff that everyone contributes to our success, regardless of title." It ended with, "Let's remain professional, inclusive, and focused on our shared goals." But by then, it was too late. People were talking. In the break room, a small group of junior staff gathered around a phone showing Deshawn's name. "On a public think tank registry. I swear this guy's done more than half our board. Bro, he built a language interface that NASA cited in a white paper. No way. Yes way. Look at this." Across the room, 2 senior managers watched in silence. "This isn't good," one muttered. The other nodded. "He's shifting the narrative, and we didn't authorize it." Meanwhile, Deshawn kept cleaning. Floor by floor, cart rolling, gloves tucked tight. He didn't ask for thanks. He didn't slow down. But he knew the pattern. First they dismiss you. Then they fear you. Then they try to erase you without moving you. Back upstairs, Alan stood at his office window watching the lower atrium. He didn't see a janitor. He saw a signal. He didn't control. He turned to his head of communications. "We need to redirect this, spotlight someone else. A safe win. Intern success. Holiday volunteer story." The comms lead raised an eyebrow. Or, we could just tell the truth. About him? Alan narrowed his eyes. We don't reward disruption. The comms lead said nothing, but the silence felt like a door slowly closing. That evening, Deshawn found a folded memo slipped into his locker. Typed. Anonymous. No header. It read. They're watching you now, but some of us are learning from you. 2. Keep walking. He folded the note, placed it gently in his breast pocket, and walked toward the next floor. UNBOTHERED. It happened during the regional rollout meeting. 5. VPS. 2 translators. 3 clients in different time zones. The tech team had prepped. For days auto-caption displays in Mandarin, French, and Arabic. The system ran through a fragile sequence of language-layered AI. Nothing could go wrong. Then everything went wrong. At 10:42 a.m. mid-sentence, the caption stream glitched. Mandarin turned to garbled code. French became phonetic nonsense. Arabic lines stopped altogether. The lead translator froze. The regional clients' faces stiffened. The VPs fidgeted, pretending it was temporary. But at WSN single quotes T. behind the conference wall were the janitors. Cart usually waited. Deshawn was already watching. He didn't move fast. He didn't make a scene. He walked into the side booth, nodded at the frazzled tech lead, and motioned toward the backup interface. They hesitated. He said 3 quiet words. Just give me 10. Then sat down, opened the developer console, and typed. Not in English, not in Python, in Logic. Pure linguistic architecture. His hands moved with muscle memory, no hesitation. First, he forced a real-time language bridge by bypassing the auto-detect. Then he manually keyed in the correct latency buffers based on global speech rhythm presets. The French rebounded first. Then Arabic. Then Mandarin streaming in with perfect sync. By 10:51 a.m., the system was stable. The clients blinked at their screens. The captions were flawless. Even idioms are now translated with emotion. No one saw what happened, except the VP of Global Operations, who had watched Deshawn the whole time from behind the tinted glass. She didn't say anything. She just scribbled a name in her notebook. In the hallway, one intern whispered to another, "Did he just fix the entire interface?" "Yeah, in under 10 minutes. How? Dude. He's the one who designed the translation core half these companies use years ago, under a different name." Later that afternoon, an internal bulletin went live. Subject: Unexpected hero during system glitch. No names. Just a thank you to the on-site support staff who prevented a catastrophic communication failure during a high-level demonstration. People knew. The thread lit up. Reactions, comments, even 2 anonymous donations hit the janitorial scholarship fund. One employee wrote, "Sometimes the person holding the mop already built the machine." Upstairs, Alan read the thread and slammed his mouse against the desk. "We're losing control of the story." His legal advisor leaned against the wall. "Or, we're finally seeing it clearly." Alan glared. "I want him transferred." "To? Where?" "Anywhere he can't outshine the damn executives." The advisor shook her head slowly. He didn't ask for attention. He asked for access. That night, Deshawn walked out alone, headphones in. Same uniform. Same slow stride, but as he passed the main lobby, the security guard at the desk gave him a small nod. "Hey, Deshawn." He looked up. The guard gave a half smile. "Thanks, man. You saved everyone's neck this morning, even the people who don't know it." Deshawn returned the nod, quiet. "Are you always this good?" He paused. "Only when I'm allowed to be." Then he walked out the door, the sound of automatic glass sliding open behind him like a curtain parting. Outside, city lights flickered. Somewhere in the distance, Someone else was probably being ignored, overlooked, underestimated. But tonight, Deshaun wasn't invisible. He was undeniable. The invitation arrived via paper, hand-delivered, not emailed. A single sentence printed. In thick serif font, your recent involvement in system recovery has prompted interest. Please join us for a private strategic discussion at 10 a.m., 40th floor. No signature, no seal. Just a time and a place. He knew what it was, not a meeting. A warning. The 40th floor conference room was glass on all sides. You could see the city, the river, the skyline. But no one saw it. 10 men in suits sat in silence, and at the head of the table, Alan Bradford, arms folded, eyes already narrowed. Deshaun entered wearing his usual uniform. No tie. No change. He carried no bag. No folder. Just himself. Alan didn't stand. No one did. Thank you for coming, he said with a kind of smile that only shows teeth. This isn't disciplinary. This is clarity. Deshaun didn't sit. Alan gestured to the chair across from him. Please. Still standing, Deshaun answered, I'd prefer to stand. I work better on my feet. A few chuckles circled the room. Nervous, thin. Alan leaned back. We're impressed, truly. What you did during the language crash, heroic. But this attention you're drawing, it's becoming a distraction. I didn't ask for attention, Deshaun replied. No, Alan agreed. But you didn't exactly avoid it, did you? He tapped the table. You see, Mr. Atwater, this is a structure. We have roles, divisions. Elevation takes time, training, mentorship. You showing up and solving things, it's not how we do things here. Deshaun finally moved slowly, placing a folded sheet of paper on the glass. Alan frowned. What's that? Deshaun's voice was calm. A breakdown of the language buffer patch I wrote on your system. A fix none of your engineers caught. A patch your platform is now fully dependent on. One of the directors leaned forward slightly. Alan glanced at him, then back at Deshaun. We don't doubt your intelligence. But this, Deshaun interrupted. No, you doubt your ability to control intelligence that doesn't come with your signature. Silence. He stepped closer to the glass wall. You built a place where visibility is permissioned. I entered without knocking, and now the system glitches. Another director, an older man, cleared his throat. Let's not turn this into ideology. Deshaun looked at him. It's not ideology. It's architecture. And it's cracked. Alan tried to pivot. We want to offer you a promotion. Everyone blinked. Deshaun tilted his head. To what? We'd like to move you into tech support. Lead. An actual desk. More exposure. But we need this noise to quiet down. Deshaun's lips barely moved. You want to lift me. So I stopped being seen. Alan smiled faintly. We're giving you an opportunity. No, Deshaun replied softly. You're trying to bury the root by showcasing a leaf. The silence this time was heavier. Alan's voice sharpened. You don't belong in this room, Deshaun. Not yet. Deshaun stepped back. You're right, he said. I don't belong in a room where truth feels like threat and ability requires apology. He turned toward the glass. You invited me here thinking I'd be flattered. Instead, you've made something clear. This system only works if people like me stay in the basement. He paused. But you already made your mistake. Alan stood now. Which was? Deshaun turned back. You? Let me be seen. And then he walked out. No slam. No speech. Just footsteps echoing against silence. Back on the 12th floor, where the floors weren't polished and the ceilings didn't shine, someone handed Deshaun a cup of coffee. No words. Just a nod of respect. And on a whiteboard in the tech bullpen, someone had written in dry erase marker, the smartest person in this company wears gloves. The higher the floor, the tighter the panic. Down below, something had begun, and no one could stop it now. It started with a phone. Recording, grainy, shaky. Unofficial. Just 10 seconds of Deshaun seated behind the system console, typing with calm precision as tech staff hovered in confusion. His uniform was visible. So was the sweat on his forehead. The caption read, "Janitor saves $4.2 million meeting with 3 languages." No one clapped. It wasn't posted by him, but it found him anyway. By noon, it had 12,000 shares. By nightfall, 300,000. The next morning, The Verge ran a headline, "Who is Deshaun Atwater, and why is he still cleaning floors?" Within 24 hours, Harvard's linguistics chair reposted the video. MIT's OpenAI ethics lab tagged him in a post about buried brilliance. A minor senator quoted it with, "This is why credentials alone don't define genius." From inside the building, the mood turned strange. Half the employees walked faster around him, eyes low. The other half slowed down, wanting to say something, but not knowing how. He said nothing. He kept working. That Friday, a delivery box was left for him. Inside, a simple black zip-up jacket. Across the chest, Atwater Systems embroidered. In crisp silver thread. No sender. He didn't wear it. Not yet. Upstairs, Alan was in damage control mode. Shut it down. Issue a correction. Remind the press he's a janitor, not an engineer. Legal replied, "But he's both." The comms team said nothing. HR tried spinning a narrative of cross-departmental collaboration, but no one was buying it. That afternoon, an email hit the inboxes of every employee. New company initiative, celebrating hidden talent, we believe. Genius can come from anywhere. Share your story. Nominate a colleague. Let's uplift brilliance wherever it hides. It smelled like panic in a gift box. Nobody responded, but someone posted a screenshot of it to Twitter with the caption, "He didn't hide. You just weren't looking." The following Monday, a tech education nonprofit contacted Deshaun. They'd seen the footage. They'd read the articles. They wanted to feature him in a national virtual panel called Barriers, Brilliance, and Becoming Seen. He read the invitation once, then again, and replied with one line, "Only if I can wear the same uniform I work in." They agreed. At 4 p.m., he sat in the corner of a small supply room with a borrowed ring light and a donated webcam. Outside, nobody even knew what was happening. But online, 30,000 people tuned in. Students, researchers, activists, coders. He didn't shout. He didn't boast. He just told the truth. "I wasn't overlooked because I'm quiet," he said. "I was overlooked because I didn't fit the image of what intelligence is supposed to look like. I broke the pattern. So I was boxed." The chat exploded. He ended with, "If someone tells you you're out of place, ask them why they built the place without you in mind." He logged off, went back to mopping. Same hallway. Same floor. But now? Someone down the corridor started clapping. Just once. Then another joined, and another. It wasn't loud. It wasn't orchestrated, but it was the first time Deshaun had ever mopped while being seen. The first sign wasn't grand. It was a poster, taped up near the cafeteria bulletin board. White background. No fancy graphics. Just 4 words in thick, handwritten marker. "Brilliance wears boots." No one claimed it. No one took it down. By the next morning, copies had shown up in 3 other departments. Then came the nameplate. Outside a small, underused conference room on the 3rd floor, a plaque appeared. The Atwater Room, honoring unseen genius facilities, hadn't installed it. HR hadn't authorized it. Someone had just done it, and nobody dared remove it. Alan called it an unsanctioned distraction. But by now, even he knew what that meant. He'd lost the room. Not just that one, but all of them. One day, Deshaun arrived to find the elevator already open and full. A senior exec was standing by the close button. He saw Deshaun and stepped back. "I'll take the next one," he said, voice quiet. The other passengers looked away, but nobody laughed. Deshaun nodded. Didn't say a word, but inside, he felt something shift. HR launched a new pilot, Blind Ideas Initiative. Employees could submit project ideas anonymously, no titles. No departments attached. First month, 6 entries. Second month, 31. Of the top 5, selected for trial 2, came from janitorial staff. Deshaun didn't attend the ceremony. He was busy replacing light panels. But the CEO made a speech, and the speech included his name, and for once, it wasn't awkward. It wasn't performative. It was honest. He reminded us, the CEO said, that you don't earn brilliance, you learn to recognize it. And we've been blind too long. But the ripple that struck hardest came in. An envelope. No sender. Just to Mr. Atwater, scrawled in blue crayon. Inside was a child's drawing. Stick figure in a blue janitor uniform. Big glowing screen. Languages flying like comets around him. A small caption at the bottom said, "I want to be the smart janitor when I grow up." Deshaun read it once. Then again, he sat with it for a long time, and for the first time in weeks, he smiled without restraint. A week later, the floor tiles in Section 3B were replaced. No one noticed, except the few who paid attention to the new color pattern. Deep navy, inlaid with faint silver outlines. From above, the layout formed 2 initials, us Atwater. Systems. Another silent tribute. The corporate handbook was revised next quarter. A new preface was added. It read, "Our future depends on who we choose to notice. Genius isn't always loud. Sometimes it mops your floor and holds your building together." Deshaun never demanded these things. He never asked. But change came anyway, because when brilliance refuses to stay buried, the world eventually learns how to kneel down and dig. It came on a Monday. Gray envelope. No return address. Left on his locker shelf. Inside, a formal cease and desist letter. Accusations of unauthorized system access. Breach of role boundaries, potential. Violation of IP protocols. Legal language. Polite threats. At the bottom, a signature. Alan Bradford. The same week, a blog post surfaced on an obscure corporate gossip site. Is the janitor a fraud? Anonymous claims suggest Deshaun Atwater may have exaggerated his role in the recent tech incident. The piece was thin, built on nothing, but it spread. Fast. By Wednesday, a whisper had returned to the halls. Not disbelief, but discomfort. Not overt mockery, but silence where there had been nods. He felt it. Every step. Upstairs. Alan was calm again. Almost smug. He'd made his final move, not to stop Deshaun, but to muddy him. Because in systems like these, truth wasn't the threat, clarity was. Confusion served power. Deshaun sat outside on the loading dock that night. Feet still in boots. Head lowered. The letter in one hand. The article opens on his phone. He could walk away. Easily, he'd made his point. The world had seen him. Why stay? Why fight? Why bleed? In a building that preferred him invisible? Then a voice spoke, soft and low. You good? He looked up. It was Marcus, the night shift security guard. A man who rarely talked. Who kept to himself. Deshaun nodded slightly. Just tired. Marcus sat beside him on the cold metal rail. They tried that on my cousin, he said. She got promoted. Suddenly, HR found issues in her file from 4 years ago. Deshaun waited. What did she do? He finally asked. Marcus shrugged. She stayed. Won the company's biggest contract next quarter. Now they call her Ma'am in rooms they wouldn't let her enter before. He stood up. Point is, they only throw dirt when something's trying to grow. Then walked off. The next day, Deshawn came in early, before the lights, before the suits, and pinned a single printout outside the Atwater room. It was the gossip article. He'd crossed out the headline with a thick black marker. Underneath it, he'd handwritten, "Let them doubt. I don't need belief to be effective." Hours later, people started walking by. Reading it. Not tearing it down. Not mocking it. Just seeing it. By noon, the company's legal team received a counter letter, not from Deshawn, from the nonprofit panel that had hosted him, signed by a dozen corporate sponsors, affirming his credentials and condemning any attempt to silence essential voices. That same hour, MIT's linguistics chair reposted the gossip article with one word: petty. By Friday, Allen received his own letter from the board, a quiet inquiry. Please prepare a transparency report on all formal warnings issued this quarter, specifically any related to Mr. Atwater. The ground under him shifted. That evening, as Deshawn emptied the bin near the executive offices, one of the junior VPs, barely 30, always stopped him. "I know this sounds weird," she said, "but I'm glad you didn't disappear." He gave a quiet nod. "I'm not here for visibility," he said. "I'm here to keep the lights on." Then he wheeled the cart forward. But somewhere behind him, something else had turned on. Respect. Real, quiet, undeniable respect. The plaque wasn't gold. It was brushed steel. Simple. Mounted beside the newly renamed Atwater Systems Lab on the 18th floor, once restricted, now open access. It read, "In honor of Deshawn Atwater, who showed us what we refused to see." No quote. No corporate slogan. Just the truth. There was no company-wide announcement. No live stream. But the people who mattered were there. The language intern who first shared the video. The cafeteria worker who started a college fund with Deshawn's help. Marcus from security. The VP who used to look past him, now standing beside him. Alan Bradford was not invited. His office now belonged to someone else. And the new name on the door? It had no middle initial, just a quiet dignity. Atwater. Lead systems advisor. Deshawn didn't give a speech. He just walked, the floor-gloved hands in his pockets, jacket zipped halfway. Someone tried to pass him a microphone. He gently declined. He didn't need to speak. The floor spoke for him. On his way down, he paused at the second-floor hallway, the one from that first morning. Where the intern had dropped the papers, where Alan had smirked and said, "They hired you? For what trash duty in 7 languages?" Now, that same hallway had been updated. A display case stood near the elevators. Inside, his original mop, a fragment of broken server glass, and a small handwritten note framed beside it, "Not hired. Chosen." Before exiting the building, he felt a tap on his shoulder. A child, maybe 8, holding a visitor pass in one hand and a tablet in the other. "You're the smart janitor," she said, wide-eyed. "The one my brother talks about." Deshawn crouched slightly. "Am I?" She nodded. "I told my teacher I want to be one too." He smiled. "Then start now. Clean up other people's messes and don't let them forget who did it." She giggled. Her mom called her name. As she ran off, she looked back once and waved. He waved back. That night, the building lights stayed on longer than usual. In the glass reflection, Deshawn saw something strange. For the first time in years, he saw himself standing tall, not as a custodian, not as a coder, not even as a symbol. Just as himself, unfiltered brilliance, fully seen. And that was enough. Because legacy doesn't shout. It echoes.